Some people live like life happened to them, and other people live like they're happening to life. Some people always have excuses for why they're struggling, and others have reasons for why they're succeeding. The people who do life and leadership the best are the ones who know the difference between being passive and being purposeful, between drifting and designing where they want to go. They know the difference between being accidental and being intentional. Welcome to the Matt Ware Show, a podcast for leaders who want more and won't settle for less. Straight talk to help you lead better, live bolder, and not lose yourself in the process. If you're serious about going to the next level in life and leadership, you're in the right place. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt Ware Show, where we talk about going to the next level in life and in leadership. If you're watching or listening to this on the day that it releases, then happy New Year's Eve to you. It's December 31st, 2025, wrapping up this year, heading into the next year. And this actually happens to be one of my favorite times of the year. I love New Year's. I love a sense of new beginnings and fresh starts and blank slates and all of that. I get pumped about being able to start a new year with focus and direction and intentionality. If you're like me, then you've probably already given a lot of thought to this next year, what you're hoping for, what you're dreaming about for 2026. I know for me, this has been front of mind for several weeks now as I just kind of prepare myself mentally and emotionally for how I want to go into the new year. In fact, I think this is one of the great challenges of leadership. We have to be present in what's now while we prepare for what's next. We have to live with one foot in today and one foot in tomorrow. We have to see what's now and see what's next. And that's what I want to talk about today is how we intentionally move from what's now to what's next as we start into this new year. Because listen, unless you're intentional, tomorrow is going to look exactly like today. The new year will look exactly like last year. Whatever you got in 2025, you're just going to have more of it in 2026. Nothing magical happens when the ball drops in Times Square. The only hope you have for next year looking any different, any better, any brighter than last year is if you get intentional about your life and about your leadership. And so many people, even many leaders that I talk to, honestly, they're just drifting from today into tomorrow. They're cruising, coasting, they're on autopilot. I love what Michael Hyatt says about this. He says, you'll never drift your way into your desired destination. You'll never drift your way into your destiny. And I just want to challenge you on this New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2025, or even if it's a few days after that when you're watching or listening, if you're only thinking about today, you are drifting. If you can't see beyond today, beyond this week, beyond what's happening around you right now, you are drifting. You cannot just focus on what's now. You have to focus on what's next. That's intentionality. People use the word intentional all the time, and sometimes maybe it's even overused, becomes kind of a buzzword because we hear it so often, and we don't really think about what it means. Okay, but listen, intentional simply means this. It means I intended to do it. In other words, it's by design. I purposed this. I chose this. I thought it through. I laid it out. When I am intentional in my life, when I'm intentional in my leadership, it means that I'm moving with clarity of purpose, and this is the way I chose to go. This is the path I chose to walk. I am intentional. So what I'm going to do today is help you bring some intentionality to how you start off 2026. I'm going to share with you what I do to start a new year, how that helps me stay dialed in, stay focused, stay, moving forward the way that I want to, so that I'm not just reacting, responding to life. I'm actually designing the life I want to live and the life I want to lead. Sometimes on the show, we talk about leadership principles. Today, what I'm going to do is give you some leadership practices, all right? And by the way, principles have to become practices if they're going to produce anything in your life. So that's always the end goal, is to give you something that is actionable for you, something you can, really, get to work on and put into practice. So what we're going to do today is talk about 3 practices to intentionally prepare for a new year. 3 practices to intentionally prepare for a new year. These are the practices I use, and I promise you, if you do these things, you're going to get more intentional in your life and your leadership. You're going to be better prepared to move into 2026 with clarity and with confidence. And the first one is this: describe your vision. Describe your vision. I know that may sound really big and lofty or whatever, and the idea of what a vision is for your life or your organization might seem like it's kind of one of those intangible, out of reach sort of things, but vision really in its essence is exactly what it sounds like. It's just what you see. What do you see for your life? What do you see for your leadership in this next year? What can you visualize a year from now? Okay, think about it. Transport yourself into the future. It's December 31st, 2026. What does your organization look like? What does your team look like? What does your family look like? What do your finances look like? What does your body look like? Okay, describe your vision. One of the things that I work with some of my clients on is a process to write what's called a vision script. I walk them through different aspects of their business or their nonprofit and really challenge them to describe in very specific, very tangible, very detailed terms what they want all of that to look like in the future. A vision script usually ends up being 3, 4, 5 pages long. Okay, it's not some pithy little bumper sticker or T-shirt slogan or whatever. It's really describing what they see for themselves, what they see for their leadership, what they see for their organization in the future. By the way, if that's something that you would like to explore, reach out to me. I'll walk you through what that looks like. It's really, it's one of the most exciting and eye-opening experiences that you can do as a leader, and I love helping people do this. By no means am I saying that your vision, when I say describe your vision, I'm not saying that it has to be that detailed, that intense necessarily. What I am saying is that you do need to describe it. You do need to lay it out. You do have to be able to articulate your vision for your life and your leadership. Some people are hesitant to describe their vision. They stop short of articulating what they really want, what they see for the future of their lives and their leadership. But the unwillingness to describe your vision is a massive mistake. And the reason why is because if you don't know where you're going, how will you ever know when you get there? If you don't know what your destination is, how will you ever know when you've arrived? You have to have a vision. You have to know what you see for your future. And I would add that the more specific you can be, the more successful you can be. This summer, my dad and my son and I took our annual backpacking trip together way up into the Wind River Wilderness in Wyoming. It was this epic, 5-day, 55-mile trek through some of the most beautiful, rugged country I've ever seen in my life. But you have to understand, we didn't just show up and start hiking, right? We did research, we had maps, we planned out each leg of the trip. We knew, which lake we needed to get to on which day. We were very specific in describing our vision, in describing what we could see for our trip. Okay, but what that required was intentionality. All right, and let me just say one more thing about your vision. Your vision should move you. When you close your eyes and see what the future of your life and the future of your leadership look like, it should move you. Because I promise, if it doesn't move you today, it won't motivate you tomorrow. And I want you to start your year with intentionality. So number 1 is you have to describe your vision. Number 2 is you have to develop your plan. Describe your vision and develop your plan. Okay, so you described your vision. Well, now what? As my dad always said, a dream without a plan is a fantasy. I don't care how good your vision is, you have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan to actually accomplish it. I've been around a lot of people who are really good at talking about what they were going to do one day, but they never got around to actually doing it. Okay, you know the kind of people I'm talking about. Maybe you're the kind of person I'm talking about. Not anymore, right? Because you're not going to be that way anymore heading into 2026. You're going to get intentional about how you're moving into your future. But you know what I mean. You know the people I'm talking about, people who have this compelling vision, but unfortunately what they see on the inside is never really something that manifests on the outside. It's like they never seem to be able to get from today into tomorrow. So tomorrow just becomes more of today. And the reason why is because they never really had a plan. Now, I realize there are people on the other side of this too, people who maybe plan too much, people who plan too intently. They sort of plan everything to death, right? They just want to plan and plan and plan as if every new, slightly tweaked, slightly edited version of the plan is what's going to make all the difference. Okay, you need a plan, but your plan is never going to be perfect. As General Patton said, a good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. So make a good plan, a good enough plan, and go violently execute it and just see what happens. When I say define your plan, what I mean is that you need to set some goals for your life and your leadership. I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions, but I do believe in having good goals. I believe there need to be some specific things that you're aiming for in your life, both personally and professional. There's a lot of good goal-setting systems out there, and they all have their strengths and their limitations and all of that. There's one that I've used in particular for the last 8 or 9 years. In fact, I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago about that. So if you want access to that, just let me know. But the point isn't really what system you have. It's just that you need to have a system. I usually set 4, 5, 6 goals every year. It used to be more like 10 or 12, but I found that my attention and my focus got spread too thin, so I pared it back. And by the way, that's total goals, personal and professional. And so what I do is I sit down the week between Christmas and New Year's every year and just develop my plan for the upcoming year. I did that just 3 or 4 days ago as of the date of this recording, because here's what I've learned. Your vision, your dream can be great, but if you don't dig in and work on it, if you don't have clear, measurable outcomes to keep you on track every quarter, every week, every day, you won't make much progress. The reality is that the dream won't work unless you do. It's not enough to have a dream. If you don't have a plan to work that dream, you will just spend another year of your life drifting rather than designing the destiny you want. Some people go through life, but they don't grow through life. They get older, but they don't really get better. Just because you went through another year of your life doesn't really mean you're a year further in your life. You understand what I'm saying? Life is like a treadmill. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward, but you are never staying still. You're never staying in the same place. So if you get to the end of 2026 and you haven't moved forward, you have moved backward. If you want to be intentional as you enter this next year, describe your vision, develop your plan, and number 3, define your next step. Define your next step. I know this sounds simple, maybe even painfully simple, okay, but I'm just telling you because I've been there that having a vision and even having a plan may not help you if you haven't defined what you're actually going to do to move from what's now to what's next. Okay, having vision for what life looks like a year from now might inspire you. Having goals along the way may motivate you, but what are you going to do today that starts to make it a reality? What's your next step? And honestly, sometimes this is where people get really stuck because they think the next step has to be this sort of big, grand gesture. And I would just tell you this. Your next step doesn't have to be big, but it does have to be intentional. Because if you can't define what you're going to do next, then you're going to just keep doing what you do now. Okay, this is true. It's just human nature. If you can't really define what's next, you'll just keep doing what's now. And I know you don't want to admit it because I don't want to admit it either, right? But we all have some tendency toward complacency. Some of us more than others maybe, but all of us have this in us. All of us have areas in our lives and in our leadership where we gravitate toward what's easy, what's comfortable, what's predictable, what's familiar. And that is what complacency is. Complacency is saying that the status quo is acceptable. If good enough is good enough, if you're satisfied with the results you're getting, if you're comfortable and content with where things are at right now, you are complacent. And complacency is the opposite of intentionality. That's why defining the next steps you're going to take is so important to get you moving in the right direction. Okay, let me give you an example of how all 3 of these components come together to build intentionality and move your life and your leadership forward in this new year. Okay, just take for an example, this is just an illustration. If your vision is to be in the best shape of your life a year from now, some of your goals, your plan to achieve that might include, losing 25 pounds, running a half marathon, starting to eat healthy, which means some of your next steps might be to go buy new running shoes or set up an appointment with a nutritionist or get a half marathon training app on your phone. Okay, not hard stuff, not rocket science stuff, but intentional stuff. Okay, really simple. But how many people do you know that maybe had a vision and maybe even had a plan or at least some patchwork of goals, but they never really did anything beyond that, right? Because they were complacent. Defining your next steps is what is going to move you from complacency to intentionality. So, if you want to intentionally move from 2025 to 2026, these are 3 things you have to do. Describe your vision, develop your plan, and define your next steps. I know it's simple, but I promise you, if you just do those 3 things, you're going to be ahead of just about everybody else you know. And I just want to encourage you and challenge you on this. We talked about it a few weeks ago on the podcast. Take action on it. Don't just listen to this. Go do it. Go do it now. Too many people are just waiting to see what happens. And I say don't wait to see what happens. Work to see what happens. If you're just waiting to see what happens, you're going to be a victim of your circumstances. You're going to be a passenger instead of a driver in the vehicle of your own life. So don't wait and see what this new year brings for you. Work and see what it brings for your life and your leadership. 2026 could just be an extension of 2025, or you can intentionally choose to move from what's now into what's next. That's what I'm going to do, and I hope that's what you're going to do as well. As we wrap up this episode and wrap up this year, I just want to say a sincere thank you for being part of this with me. This podcast has been on quite a journey this year, and I am so grateful for all of you who listen and watch and share and subscribe. It means the world to me that you allow me to speak into your life in some way when you're driving or at the gym or on a run or whatever it is. And I hope the things that I share and the perspective I bring really does help you become better personally and professionally. If you'd like to go to the next level in 2026 and want to see what it would look like to work together one-on-one or be part of a mastermind group I'm kicking off soon, reach out to me, shoot me a DM on one of the socials. @TheMattWare is my handle there. Or you can go to themattware.com. I would love to come alongside you and help you on your journey. I want to wish you a very happy new year, and I can't wait to charge into 2026 with you and see what happens for all of us. So let's go lead better and live bolder this year.